The sky turned red before the storm began. It was not a normal storm. The wind did not just blow, it screamed. The trees bent low, and birds flew away in fear. Even the ground felt restless. He stood alone at the edge of the border forest. His name was Kale. He was not a hero. He was not a famous warrior. He was only a scout from a small human village near the mountain lands. His job was simple: watch the border, report danger, and never get involved. That was the rule, and Kale always followed rules. Until that night, a loud crash shook the earth. Kale quickly hid behind a broken tree. He thought it was a giant beast. Maybe one of the mountain creatures had crossed into human land again. Then he saw something impossible. Through the heavy rain and flying dust, a huge shadow moved between the trees. It was not an animal. It was a girl. A giant girl. She was taller than the trees. Her long silver hair was wet from the rain. A golden crown rested on her head, broken on one side. Blood ran down her arm. She was injured, and she was running. Behind her came riders, giant armored soldiers riding massive wolf-like beasts. Their armor was dark and sharp. Their eyes were cold. "Do not let her escape," one of them shouted. "Kill the traitor princess." Princess? Kale's heart started beating fast. This was not just a giant. This was royalty. He knew he should stay hidden. This was not human business. If giants were fighting each other, humans should stay far away. But then the princess stumbled. She fell hard against the ground. The earth shook under her weight. One of the hunters raised his spear. Kale's mind screamed at him to stay still. But his body moved. Before he could think, he shot a flare arrow into the sky. Bright red fire exploded above the trees. The hunters stopped. "Humans," one of them growled. Kale ran. He shouted loudly and fired another arrow toward the opposite side of the forest. The sound echoed. Smoke spread fast. The hunters turned their beasts and chased him instead. Kale did not look back. He ran through traps he had placed weeks ago. He knew this forest better than anyone. Sharp wooden spikes rose from hidden pits. One beast fell. Another crashed into a burning tree branch he had prepared for emergencies. Kale was small, but he was fast. One hunter jumped down from his beast and charged toward him. The giant was at least 10 times his size. Kale rolled under a fallen log and lit an oil trap. Flames exploded upward. The giant stepped back, roaring in anger. Kale grabbed his final arrow. His hands were shaking. He waited. When the giant stepped forward again, Kale fired straight at the beast's eye. The creature screamed and collapsed, throwing its rider into the mud. Silence slowly returned. Rain continued falling. Kale stood there, breathing hard, covered in dirt and smoke. He turned slowly. The giant princess was watching him. She had pushed herself up to sit against a massive rock. Her golden eyes looked down at him with shock. He looked so small in front of her, so fragile, yet he had saved her. She spoke softly, her voice deep but gentle. "You risked your life for me." Kale swallowed. He did not know what to say. He had just attacked giant royal soldiers. There was no going back now. The princess slowly reached out her hand. It was larger than his whole body. Carefully, she lowered it to the ground near him. "I am Princess Araya," she said, "and because of you, I still breathe." Thunder rolled across the mountains. In the far distance, loud war horns echoed through the storm. More giants were coming. Kale looked up at her. For the first time, fear hit him. Saving her was only the beginning, and he had just stepped into a war between giants. The war horns did not stop. They echoed again and again through the mountains, deep and heavy, like the sound of giants waking from sleep. Kale looked at Princess Araya. Rain was still falling. Smoke from the burned traps moved slowly between the trees. The dead hunters lay behind him. "This is bad," Kale said quietly. Araya's golden eyes were no longer soft. They were sharp now. "They are not coming to rescue me," she said. "They are coming to finish what they started." Before Kale could answer, shadows moved above them. Huge shapes dropped from the sky. Not beasts. Giants. Winged giants. Massive soldiers with silver armor and long spears landed around the forest clearing. Their wings folded behind their backs like sharp metal blades. Kale stepped back. He was surrounded. One of the soldiers stepped forward. His armor was marked with royal symbols. "Princess Araya," he said, kneeling. We tracked your signal fire. We feared you were dead. Araya slowly stood up. Even injured, she looked powerful. I am alive, she said. Because of him. All eyes turned to Kale. The air felt heavy. The soldiers did not look thankful. They looked angry. A human, one of them growled. You allowed a human to stand beside you. He saved my life, Araya said firmly. The leader's eyes narrowed. He also killed royal hunters. Kale felt the weight of every stare. He tightened his grip on his bow, even though he knew it would do nothing. I attacked to survive, Kale said. They would have killed her. Silence. The winged giants looked at Araya, waiting for her command. Araya took one step forward, placing herself slightly in front of Kale. He is under my protection, she said. The words were simple, but they changed everything. The soldiers exchanged looks. In giant law, the protection of a royal heir could not be questioned. The leader bowed his head. As you command, princess. Kale did not relax. Protection did not mean safety. Two soldiers gently lifted Araya onto a massive flying beast that landed behind them. Another giant grabbed Kale carefully, like he was picking up a small animal. Kale struggled at first. Wait, I can walk. You cannot fly, the giant replied coldly. Moments later, they were in the sky. Kale had never flown before. The forest became small under them. The mountains rose higher and higher until clouds covered everything. Then he saw it. The Sky Kingdom. It was not just a castle. It was a city built on mountain peaks above the clouds. Huge stone towers connected by bridges made of crystal and steel. Waterfalls fell into the empty sky below. Giant ships floated between towers like slow-moving islands. It was beautiful and terrifying. They landed in a massive, open courtyard. Hundreds of giants were waiting. Whispers spread like wind. That is the human. He saved her. He killed royal soldiers. Why is he alive? Kale felt smaller than ever. Araya was helped down. Even injured, she stood tall. A group of older giants stepped forward. Their robes were long and dark. Their eyes were serious. The High Council. One of them spoke. You were accused of treason, Princess Araya. Now you return with a human. Araya's voice was calm. I was attacked by my uncle's hunters. This human fought to protect me. The courtyard grew louder. Humans are weak. Humans are selfish. Humans cannot be trusted. Kale felt anger rise inside him. Weak? He had faced armored giants alone, but he stayed silent. This was not his world. The council leader looked down at him. Why did you help her, human? Kale looked up. He could lie. He could say he wanted reward or power. But he did not. She was alone, he said simply, and someone was trying to kill her. More whispers. The council did not look impressed, but Araya did. For the first time since the forest, her expression softened. The council finally spoke again. The human will remain under royal watch until we decide his fate. That was not freedom. That was prison. Two guards stepped closer to Kale. Araya turned toward him. I will not let them harm you, she said quietly. But Kale saw something in her eyes. Worry. This kingdom was divided. Her uncle still lived. And now Kale was inside the heart of giant politics. Far below, storm clouds moved around the mountain. Far away, in the shadows of another tower, a tall giant figure watched everything. And he was smiling. The war had not ended. It had only moved to the sky. Kale did not sleep well in the Sky Kingdom. The room they gave him was bigger than his entire village house. The bed was soft like clouds. The walls were made of white stone that glowed at night. But he felt like a small insect inside a giant's world. Two royal guards always stood outside his door, not to protect him, to watch him. Days passed slowly. The kingdom was divided. Some giants respected Princess Araya. Others believed the rumors that she had betrayed her own blood, that she was too soft, that she cared more about a human than her throne. Kale tried to stay invisible, but that was impossible. Wherever he walked, giants stared. He is the one, the tiny savior, the foolish human. One morning, loud shouting came from the Western Tower. A bridge support had broken. A heavy transport platform was stuck between two towers. Dozens of giant workers struggled to fix it. Kale watched from a distance. He noticed something. The giants were strong, very strong, but they were not careful. Your rope is too tight on one side, Kale called out before thinking. The workers paused. A giant engineer looked down at him with anger. Human, do not speak. Kale swallowed, but he pointed again. If you loosen that side and add weight to the back, it will balance. The engineer laughed, but Araya was there. Try it, she said calmly. The giants followed the human's advice. Slowly, the heavy platform shifted. Balanced. The broken bridge held steady. Silence filled the air. The engineer stared at Kale. It worked. From that day, something changed. Kale was still small, but now he was useful. He helped repair tools. He fixed small machines that giants had stopped using because they were too delicate for giant hands. He showed them simple human tricks. Strength was not everything. The whispers changed. He thinks differently. He is strange. He is clever. But not everyone like this. Late one evening, Kale stood alone on a high balcony. Below him, clouds moved like a white ocean. The sky was full of stars. A soft shadow covered him. Araya stepped beside him. She had removed her crown. Her silver hair flowed freely in the night wind. You're not afraid of heights? She asked gently. I am terrified, Kale said honestly. She smiled. That is why you are brave. They stood in silence for a moment. I did not expect to survive that night, Araya said quietly. My uncle wanted me dead. Many in this kingdom believe him. Why? Kale asked. Because I want change. Her eyes were serious now. For centuries, giants believed size is power. Strength decides leadership. But I believe wisdom should lead. She looked down at him. And that night, a small human proved my belief was not foolish. Kale felt his heart beat faster. I only did what was right. Yes, she whispered. And that is rare. The wind grew stronger. Araya slowly knelt down, so her face was level with him. Even kneeling, she was still massive. In my world, she continued, royals do not choose love. Love is decided by alliances. Power. Bloodlines. Kale looked away. This is not my world. No, she said softly. But you are in it now. Her golden eyes searched his face. When you ran into danger for me, you did not see a giant princess. You saw someone alone. Kale did not answer. Because it was true. Araya's voice became even softer. I have met kings, warriors, generals. None of them risked anything for me without wanting something in return. She placed one large hand gently on the ground near him. You asked for nothing. Her words felt heavier than any giant weapon. Then she said something that made his breath stop. In my heart, something has changed. The air between them felt different. Not political, not royal, personal, but far above them, hidden in the shadows of a high tower, someone was watching. A tall giant figure, cold eyes, a cruel smile. Let her fall in love, the figure whispered to himself. It will make her easier to destroy. Below, on the balcony, Kale did not know that feelings were growing in a kingdom already preparing for war. And love between a human and a giant princess was not just forbidden. It was dangerous, very dangerous. The rumors spread faster than fire in dry grass. By the next morning, the entire sky kingdom knew. The princess had feelings for the human. Some laughed, some were angry, some were afraid. Because love between a giant royal and a human was not just strange. It was forbidden by ancient law. Kale did not hear the whispers at first. He was in the lower workshop, repairing a damaged signal device. His hands moved carefully over small gears and wires. Then the doors opened. 3 members of the High Council entered. Their robes were dark. Their faces were cold. The human will come with us, one of them said. Kale stood up slowly. Did I break something? This is not about machines, the elder replied. Moments later, Kale stood inside the grand hall. The ceiling was so high it disappeared into shadow. Giant statues of past rulers watched from the walls. Princess Araya stood in the center. Her face was tense. Around her, hundreds of giants filled the hall. The council leader stepped forward. Princess Araya, he said loudly, you are heir to the sky throne. Your heart does not belong to you alone. It belongs to the kingdom. Araya did not lower her head. My heart is my own, she answered calmly. Murmurs filled the hall. The council leader pointed at Kale. This human has caused division. If you insist on keeping him by your side, There's only one way. Kale felt something heavy in the air. The elder continued. The trial of binding. The hall fell silent. Araya's eyes widened. No, she said immediately. Kale looked between them. What is the trial of binding? No one answered at first. Then an old giant woman stepped forward. It is an ancient ritual, she explained. If a royal chooses someone unworthy by birth, they must prove the bond through sacrifice. Kale frowned. What kind of sacrifice? The elder looked directly at him. To bind your life to the princess, you must give up something forever. The air felt colder. You may choose, the elder continued. Strength, memory, or lifespan. Kale blinked. I do not understand. If you give up strength, the elder said, your body will weaken. You will never defend yourself again. If you give up memory, you will forget your human life, your village, your family. And if I choose lifespan, the elder's voice became even calmer. You will age faster. Every year she lives will take more from you. Araya stepped forward. This is cruel, she said. The law was made to stop political enemies, not love. The law does not change for emotion, the elder replied. Kale looked at Araya. Her eyes were filled with fear. Not for herself. For him. You do not have to do this, she whispered. Kale's mind raced. If he refused, he would be sent away. Maybe back to his village. Maybe imprisoned. Maybe worse. If he accepted, he would lose something forever. The hall waited. Hundreds of giant eyes watching a small human decide. Kale took a slow breath. When does the ritual happen? He asked. Araya shook her head. No. But Kale looked at her and gave a small smile. You said strength is not only size. Her eyes filled with emotion. The ritual circle was drawn on the stone floor. Glowing symbols surrounded them. Kale stepped inside. He felt very small, but he stood straight. I choose lifespan, he said clearly. Gasps filled the hall. Araya's voice broke. Kale, please. The ritual began. Light rose from the symbols. The air vibrated. Kale felt heat move through his body, like time itself was pulling at him. His knees almost gave out. His vision blurred. Then it stopped. Silence. Kale opened his eyes slowly. His hands were shaking. A small streak of gray now touched his hair. He felt tired. Not weak. Just older. The bond mark appeared faintly on both their hands. A glowing silver line. It was done. The hall was quiet. Some giants looked shocked. Others looked disturbed. The elder spoke one final time. The bond is sealed. If the princess falls, the human falls with her. Kale looked up sharply. That part had not been explained. Araya froze. But it was too late. Their lives were now tied together. Forever. And somewhere high above the grand hall, in the dark tower overlooking the kingdom, the uncle watched the glowing bond mark through a crystal mirror. He smiled slowly. Good, he whispered. Now, when she dies, the human dies too. The real game had just begun. The Sky Kingdom did not celebrate the bond. There was no music, no joy, only silence. The glowing silver mark on Kale's hand had not faded. It pulsed softly like a quiet heartbeat. The same mark shown on Princess Araya's palm. Their lives were now tied together. And everyone knew it. 3 days later, the attack came. It began with fire in the clouds. Explosions shook the western towers. Giant warships broke through the mist like dark mountains moving in the sky. Their flags were black and silver, the symbol of Lord Varric, Araya's uncle. The traitor had returned. Kale stood on a high balcony when the first blast hit. The bridge connecting two towers shattered, sending stone falling into the clouds below. Alarms rang across the kingdom. Winged soldiers launched into the sky. Giant cannons fired glowing bolts of light. The peaceful city above the clouds turned into a battlefield. Inside the command hall, Araya stood tall in full royal armor. Her silver hair was tied back. Her eyes were no longer soft. They chose open war, she said calmly. Kale stepped beside her. They are targeting the outer towers first, he said, watching the map table. They want to isolate you. Some generals looked annoyed at a human speaking. But Araya nodded. He is right. Another explosion shook the hall. A soldier rushed in, bleeding. Princess, Varric's forces are landing on the eastern platform. Araya's jaw tightened. He wants me alive, she said quietly. Kale looked at her. How do you know? Because I am the throne. Outside, giant warriors clashed in the sky. Steel struck steel. Fire lit the clouds red. Then something unexpected happened. A massive horn blast echoed across the battlefield. All fighting paused for a moment. A single warship moved forward. On its front deck stood Lord Varric. He was taller than most giants. His armor was black, covered in sharp edges. His face was hard like stone. He raised his voice, and it carried across the sky. Princess Araya, he called. Araya stepped onto the highest balcony. I am here, uncle. Varric smiled, but there was no warmth in it. You shame our bloodline. You tie your fate to a human. His eyes moved to Kale. Small creature, Varric shouted. Do you understand what you have done? Kale did not answer. Varric continued. You believe you made a noble sacrifice, but you only made yourself a weakness. He lifted his hand. A crystal orb glowed beside him. With one strike, Varric said calmly, I can end her life. The bond mark on Kale's hand suddenly burned. He felt it. If she died, he would die instantly too. Varric laughed. Your bond makes her vulnerable. The battlefield felt frozen. Araya's voice was steady. You would destroy your own kingdom? Varric's eyes darkened. I would rebuild it stronger. Without warning, Varric gave the signal. The war resumed, more violent than before. Giant ships crashed into towers. Bridges collapsed. Screams filled the sky. Kale ran to the strategy table. They're pushing too hard on the east side, he said quickly. It's not every memory, the uncle added. The forest. The balcony. The way she looks at you. All gone. Kale felt like the air had been punched from his lungs. You will return to your human world, the uncle continued. Free. Safe. Alive. Outside, a loud crash echoed. Araya had fallen to one knee. The uncle leaned closer. If you refuse, I kill her. Kale's hands trembled. His mind raced. If he broke the bond, Araya would survive this battle. The uncle would likely keep her alive as prisoner to control the kingdom. If he refused, they both might die. But if he accepted, she would remember him. He would not remember her. She would carry the pain alone. You are young, the uncle said softly. You want to live? Kale closed his eyes. He thought about his village, his small house, his simple life. He thought about the forest that night, about golden eyes looking at him with surprise, about a giant princess kneeling in the wind, about someone powerful choosing kindness over strength. He opened his eyes. If I break the bond, Kale asked quietly, you promise she lives? Yes, the uncle said immediately. Kale looked toward the battlefield again. Araya was trying to stand. Even injured, she was still fighting for her people. For change. For something better. Kale slowly shook his head. No. The uncle's smile faded. You would rather die? Kale's voice was steady now. I would rather stand beside her. The uncle's eyes turned cold. Then you are truly foolish. He raised his hand to strike. But Kale moved first. He had hidden a small device in his sleeve. A human flash charge used for emergencies. He slammed it against the stone floor. Blinding light exploded in the room. The uncle stepped back, roaring in anger. Kale ran toward the broken window. He did not think. He jumped. For one terrifying second, he was falling through the open sky. Then strong hands caught him. Araya. Her wings were damaged. Blood covered her armor. But she was still flying. You should have left, she whispered, holding him carefully. Kale looked up at her. I made my choice. Behind them, the uncle stepped onto the tower edge, fury burning in his eyes. The bond mark on Kale's hand began glowing brighter. Something was changing. The ritual had connected more than life. It had connected strength. And now, the bond was waking up. The sky was no longer blue. It was red with fire. Princess Araya struggled to stay in the air. One wing was wounded. Blood ran down her silver armor. Below them, the Sky Kingdom was breaking apart. Kale held tightly to her armor. Behind them, Lord Varric stepped off the tower edge. He did not fall. Dark wings of energy opened from his back. Not natural wings like Araya's. These were powered by the ancient relic he carried. You cannot run. Varric's voice echoed through the sky. Araya landed on the highest remaining platform of the throne tower. The stone beneath her feet was cracked and burning. She gently placed Kale down. "You should have left when you had the chance," she said quietly. Kale shook his head. "I don't regret it." The silver bond mark on his hand began glowing brighter than ever before. The same light appeared on Araya's palm. Varric landed in front of them, his dark armor shining in the firelight. "You chose death," Varric said calmly. Araya stepped forward, placing herself slightly in front of Kale. "You chose destruction," she answered. Varric laughed. "This kingdom needs strength, not dreams, not love." He raised his relic. Dark energy shot toward Araya. She blocked it with her blade, but the force pushed her backward. The platform cracked deeper. Kale felt the bond burn like fire in his veins. It hurt, but also felt powerful. He realized something. The trial of binding did not only connect life. It connected will. When Araya felt pain, he felt it. When she stood strong, he felt that too. "Araya!" Kale shouted. "The bond is not just weakness." Varric attacked again. Araya blocked, but she was tired. Kale looked around quickly. Human eyes. Human thinking.